Hello there. I'm Jacob White, security consultant at Ingram Micro and a member of our Delta Force team. You may be new to security awareness training or coming here from our 2-minute intro video on the series. This video will provide a deeper dive on the subject and cover some of the ins and outs of deploying a security awareness training program in your organization. So with that said, let's begin. Now, I want to point out really quick, I don't have a lot of graphics here. This is going to be a little bit more of a spoken word verbal thing, so feel free to listen to this like a podcast if you'd like and keep it in the background. I know we're all a little guilty of multitasking these days. So let's talk a little bit, first of all, on the why. Attackers, as I've mentioned previously in my 2-minute video, are more focused than ever on people. People are the weak link in the chain when it comes to security. If you look at the 2020, 2019, really any of the previous Verizon DBIR reports, you'll see that about 40% of attacks that were successful, right? We're not just talking about attacks in general. We're talking about successful breaches of organizations were focused on phishing. Once again, that number 40% on phishing. Another 30% of successful attacks were based on stolen credentials. Now, a lot of this stuff comes in via email these days. We're talking about malicious attachments that are malware-based, stuff that's hidden inside of Excel documents and Word documents with macros within, USB littering, right? And this is where an attacker will go into the parking lot or nearby area, scatter a bunch of USB drives around that have something interesting listed on it, right? Such as payroll or people about to be fired or layoffs 2021, stuff like that, right? Things that would pique your interest and kind of trick you into wanting to plug it into your corporate machine. Even on social media, right? Malicious social media messages or personal email attacks are another way that attackers can try to get inside of your network in order to deploy their malware. All of these are examples of ways that attackers use what's called social engineering, right? That's the overarching term that describes all of these things. And really what attackers are doing is preying on traditional human behaviors, right? They want to get at us in a way that appeals to our humanistic senses. They want to prey on our need or willingness to help, or prey on our want to close that big sale, right? Maybe there's a malicious email that comes in, looks like it's going to be the deal of a lifetime. Something's going to earn you that next big vacation if you just close this deal out. We're looking for stuff like that. And these are the things that attackers are using in order to be successful, is they're preying on human behavior. Now, one of the things that attackers can do as well here is, as I mentioned before, get around our traditional corporate controls by going through personal accounts, be that on social media, on our personal email, for example, or be going through a teleconferencing or collaboration platform, right? Things like Teams, Zoom, WebEx, etc. They want to try to exploit these avenues because they know that just launching malware isn't going to do it anymore. They need to find a way to get their victims in order to activate the malware and have it look like a traditional file or document, that sort of thing. This is a super hard problem to solve. You can't install antivirus on your users, right? Your users, as I mentioned, they're the weak link in the chain. They're the way that attackers are going to get in, and it's very difficult to change human behavior, as we know. And that's really what we need to do here, right? We need to alter our user behavior over time to make our users more vigilant to attacks. We want to change the way that they look at these messages coming in and kind of have a more suspicious eye to some of these things, right? You get a message or you get an email that looks a little too good to be true. 9 times out of 10, it usually is, right? And this is where security awareness training is going to become a big part of what we do in the organization, right? We're going to alter that user behavior, teach them to take a look at some of these things and understand, hey, not only does this not look right, I think this is malicious. I'm going to go ahead and either just delete it, or more importantly, I'm going to blow it in and call it in to our IT staff so they know that some of these malicious messages are coming in or that we're being attacked. So let's talk about the what here, security awareness training itself. This aims to deal with that social engineering problem, right? This is a solution to a problem. Can often be offered as a professional service for point-in-time assessments. Normally when we see that professional service angle, we're running this maybe once a year, right? We're bringing in the trained pros for that. We're going to talk a little bit more about that later on. But it can also be offered as a software platform so you can conduct continuous assessment. not just once every here and there where it's kind of a little bit more on the pricey side. It's we're going to run our assessments constantly over, we'll run a quarterly program, an annual program, keep things going over time, which is really ideally what you want to do, right? As we know, changing human behavior, that requires a lot of effort. So we need something that will help us with that big effort, so we're not all just doing it hands-on, we're not all just doing it manually. Now that software platform, as I mentioned, because we're doing it continuously, often is going to give you reporting, trending, metrics over time so you see how you're doing. And as I mentioned before, we want to blow in these bad messages to our IT staff so they know whenever these attacks are coming in. So the software platforms will generally contain plugins or add-ons that have a reporting button. That'll allow users to report the simulated attacks, so we know when our users are doing a good job, they see that simulated attack and they call it in, but also real attacks as well. So if we have a real attack that slips by our email filtering, slips into our network, we can click that phishing button and report it in so we know for a fact that it's getting caught here. Now, professional services, as I mentioned, that tends to be more point in time, but what's the difference between professional services for this and the software platform? Well, the professional services, they tend to be a little bit more of a robust offering. They're conducted by a penetration tester or a white hat hacker, somebody who has real world experience in social engineering techniques and tactics. They can also combine different methods, right? So if you look at software, that tends to be really centered on email-based attacks, centered on USB littering, that sort of thing. The professional services side of the house, that's going to combine a lot of different stuff, right? Maybe they're going to do vishing where they call in. Maybe they're going to do a little SMS or smishing where they're going to send malicious text messages that look like it's coming from your corporate account, but in reality are going to what we like to call a watering hole website, where people will go in, plug in their corporate credentials because it looks like an actual corporate site, but instead it's an attacker site and it's capturing those creds, right? I talked about that additional 30% of successful attacks are via cred capture. Smishing and email phishing are two really good ways that those attacks will capture those creds. So we're going to use security awareness training to train our users. Hey, take a look at this. This looks malicious. Don't click on it. And for the folks that fail, we're going to be able to give them targeted trainings, right? And that's the idea here. We want to create this cycle. The cycle is test, train, retest, right? And we just keep that cycle going at all times. We're going to test them. We're going to send them out a malicious looking message, have them see, can they identify that malicious message? For the folks that fail, we're going to train them. And even on top of that, we're going to provide continuous training to our users, even if they don't fail, right? And then we're going to go back and we're going to retest. A lot of folks ask me, by the way, hey, do we want to punish the people that fail, right? Do we want to give them a write-up? Do we want to give them some sort of thing that punishes them for failing? And I would say no, right? Our approach here with our Delta Force team is carrots, not sticks. We would rather reward people for doing a great job, right? Folks that identify messages, or maybe they got 100% completion, right? Let's give those people like an Amazon gift card. Let's do something to incentivize our folks to say, if you are tops, if you do a great job at identifying malicious messages, we want to reward you for that. And that encourages other people to kind of come along for the ride. So over time, regardless of what we use, we want to be able to train our users to identify those suspicious behaviors, be they in email, be they in social media, whatever, and then be able to know how and when to report those. So let's talk about the who. How do we get access to this stuff? So on the pro services side, right, we have a team of penetration testers, highly skilled folks here at Ingram Micro that can provide those point-in-time assessments as a pass-through for your organization to your end users. They'll be able to provide all the follow-ups, let you know, here's where we were successful, here's where we failed, here's our recommendations, that sort of thing. For continuous assessments, we've got a lot of cloud-based software platforms from our service providers, and those include vendors such as Proofpoint, Mimecast, and Cofense that can help out. We have a bunch of vendor materials in our toolkits that will help you with more information and how to gain access. You can also check out securitylinecard.com. That's a fantastic resource that includes a full listing of our vendors there and resources of who you want to contact if you want to become a partner of some of these vendors. This is a brand new segment in the market. This is something that is constantly evolving. We're seeing a lot of new vendors pop up all the time. If you're ever curious about those vendors, if you want to learn more about how they compare to maybe who you're carrying right now, please contact the Delta Force. We're here to help. We're here to make your life easier. So if you made it all the way to the end here, thanks for sticking with me to learn more about security awareness training. If you want to learn more, check out the other segments in our security toolkits or contact a member of our Delta Force team. Once again, I'm Jacob White. Remember, stay safe out there and you have a great day.